The universe stretched infinitely, an endless expanse where time and space bent in ways unfathomable to even the most advanced minds. For eons, galaxies spun in quiet harmony, each one home to a myriad of life forms, most of which were far older than humanity. In the grand scheme of existence, they were nothing more than distant echoes. The ancient races who had mastered the art of living without chaos observed the galaxy with a patient calm. To them, emotions were nothing more than an obsolete vestige of an ancient time. Logic and order were the pillars of their existence. The Kalfar were one such race. With skin as dark as the void they navigated, their minds had evolved far beyond the need for emotional impulses. They communicated in patterns, each word chosen with perfect precision, each action calculated to the smallest detail. Fear, anger, joy. These were merely sounds without meaning to the Kalfar. Their civilization thrived in a state of perpetual tranquility, where risk and unpredictability had no place. They believed themselves to be the pinnacle of evolution, the embodiment of the universe's natural order. Then, humanity came. A species so young, so impulsive, and yet they found their way to the stars. The Kalfar watched in quiet fascination as humans slowly made their way into the galactic stage. At first, there were only small, exploratory missions, shiny metal ships sent into the unknown. They were curious, but the Kalfar saw them as little more than children playing with the universe's toy box. But soon, those same children began to grow. A human colony established itself on a distant world, and in just a few short decades, humans reached the outer edges of the galaxy. They didn't just adapt to their new environments. They reshaped them. They didn't just build. They created cities, technologies, and solutions to problems that would take other species millennia to understand were within humanity's grasp in a matter of generations. And that's when the Kalfar's calm began to waver. To the Kalfar, everything about humanity was unpredictable. Where other races calculated and analyzed, humans acted on instinct. Their passions, their anger, their joy, they were all raw and untamed, a wild force that no one could control. While the universe moved in measured steps, humanity sprinted ahead, driven by a relentless desire to understand and conquer. They didn't hesitate. They never stopped. It was this very impulsiveness, this refusal to fit into the universe's carefully calculated rhythms, that frightened the Kalfar. Humans were a variable they couldn't predict, and in a universe that thrived on precision, that could mean only one thing: danger. And so, the Kalfar decided to watch closely, too closely, as it turned out. As humanity's reach extended across the stars, a team of explorers set out on a mission that would take them beyond any charted space, into a sector where no human had ventured before. The mission, known as Vanguard 7, was tasked with gathering data on strange anomalies detected near the edge of the galaxy. Their ship, the Aurelia, was equipped with the latest technology humanity had to offer. Cutting-edge propulsion, shielding, and AI systems, all designed for the unknown. Yet even with these advancements, they were unprepared for what awaited them. The Aurelia drifted through the dark void, the silence of space surrounding them like a suffocating cloak. As the crew surveyed strange patterns in the fabric of reality, they stumbled upon something extraordinary, an ancient structure, partially cloaked and hidden from sensors. It was a ship, but unlike anything they had ever seen. Its design was organic, flowing and curving in ways that seemed to defy the principles of physics. At first, the crew believed it was a derelict ship, possibly of long-forgotten origin. But when they approached, they felt something unmistakable. They were being watched. Before they could make contact, a ship appeared in front of them, a sleek, dark vessel that shimmered in the starlight like a shadow taking form. The crew was caught off guard, frozen by its presence. This ship wasn't merely a piece of technology. It was alive in a way they could never have anticipated. The Kalfar had arrived. The Kalfar were ancient. Their minds evolved beyond the need for physical forms as humans understood them. They were beings of pure intellect, with bodies that seemed to ripple and shift, like the very fabric of space and time itself. They approached the Aurelia silently, without a word or a sound, their presence sending a wave of unease through the crew. The ship's AI buzzed with activity, trying to process the energy readings, but there was nothing to compare it to, nothing human science could understand. The Calthar made their first move, not by speaking, but by releasing a pulse of energy that echoed across the Aurelia. The humans didn't know it yet, but this was a test. A silent challenge to see how they would react, how they would respond to the unknown. The crew, startled but determined, scrambled to regain control. Yet, for all their ingenuity, they were helpless against the sudden disruption in their systems. The Calthar had outsmarted them in a way that was chilling. But what was most surprising to the Calthar was the response of the humans. While their hearts raced, their minds raced faster. Panic was an alien concept. Instead of folding under pressure, the crew began to adapt. They worked together, drawing from their knowledge and instincts to counter the strange force. The Calthar observed, silently calculating. This was the first time they had encountered a species with such tenacity that made them uneasy. The Calthar could not yet understand it, but something had shifted in the balance of power. The universe they knew, one of controlled calm and predictable outcomes, was now at risk of being upended by these unpredictable humans, and they had only just begun to see what humanity was capable of. The Calthar, calculating and precise, were not ones to act hastily, yet there was something about humanity that unsettled them. Something unpredictable and raw. The humans' ability to adapt quickly, their innate refusal to follow any set of predetermined rules, had triggered an instinctive fear in the Calthar. They had seen thousands of civilizations rise and fall, but never one quite like this. And so the Calthar decided it was time to test humanity, not just in their technological capabilities, but in their very essence. The Aurelia drifted in silence as the Calthar ship hovered, a dark, imposing presence in the void of space. The human crew, shaken but resolute, tried to make contact once more, sending out a carefully constructed message of peace. But the Calthar were not interested in dialogue. Instead, they unleashed a powerful surge of energy that enveloped the Aurelia. The ship trembled as the pulse coursed through its systems, distorting the fabric of space around it. Time seemed to slow, then accelerate in strange, unpredictable waves. The crew felt their surroundings shift unnaturally, their minds struggling to make sense of the sudden chaos. It was a weapon unlike any the humans had encountered, a field that could bend time, space, and reality itself. The Calthar believed it would paralyze the humans, overwhelm them with confusion and fear. They watched from their ship, cold and calculating, knowing that fear would be their greatest ally. Fear, after all, was something every species they had encountered had shared, an emotion that could be manipulated and controlled. But humans were different. Instead of succumbing to panic, they fought back instinctively. Their emotions, fueled by the adrenaline of survival, became their greatest weapon. Captain Elena Richter, a seasoned leader, gave the order to stabilize the ship. The crew, though disoriented, moved with purpose. The AI of the Aurelia, aided by human ingenuity, quickly adapted to the erratic energy, recalibrating the ship's systems to handle the distortion. It was a patchwork solution, but it was effective. As the crew regained control, they realized something incredible. The weapon wasn't just causing chaos, it was giving them an opportunity to innovate. The constant shifts in space and time forced the humans to think in ways they never had before, on the edge of reason, at the intersection of fear and determination. As the distortion weakened, the crew managed to reverse some of the effects, using their raw instincts and technical expertise to reorient the ship's energy systems. The Calthar watched in stunned silence, unable to comprehend what they were witnessing. This wasn't the response they had expected. Where other species might have collapsed in the face of such an overwhelming force, humanity rose. Their ability to adapt and fight through chaos was something the Kalfar had never encountered. It was terrifying. For the first time in millennia, the Kalfar felt a flicker of something they had long forgotten: fear. But they weren't done yet. If the humans could survive this, the Kalfar would make sure they would never be allowed to thrive. They had just begun their test. The Kalfar, though shaken, were not ones to retreat in the face of adversity. If anything, they saw humanity's unexpected resilience as an even greater challenge. They had underestimated this young species, assuming that their emotions would be their downfall. But instead, humanity's emotions had become their most potent weapon. What the Kalfar failed to understand was that humans didn't just survive. They thrived in the face of uncertainty, driven by an inner fire that nothing in the universe could replicate. Captain Alina Richter stood on the Aurelia's bridge, watching as her crew worked tirelessly to stabilize their ship. Their systems had suffered under the strain of the Kalfar's weapon, but the humans weren't just repairing damage. They were learning, adapting, evolving. Every disruption in reality that the Kalfar introduced only made the crew more determined. They began to see patterns in the chaos, using it to their advantage in ways the Kalfar hadn't predicted. The Kalfar, in their infinite wisdom, assumed that humans would crumble under the pressure, that their primitive emotions would lead them to make reckless mistakes. But they were wrong. The human crew didn't react with terror. They responded with ingenuity. Captain Richter ordered her engineers to tap into the very energy the Kalfar had weaponized. If the Kalfar wanted to manipulate reality, they would show them how humanity could manipulate it in return. Hours turned into days, and as the humans worked tirelessly, they realized that their emotions weren't just helping them cope with the chaos. They were enhancing their ability to think outside the box. Where the Kalfar saw fear and disorder, the humans saw opportunities. The fluctuating time-space distortions were unpredictable, but they weren't impossible to control. They couldn't undo the weapon's effects entirely, but they could manipulate their ship's technology to ride the waves of distortion, harnessing the energy like a surfer riding a cosmic wave. As the crew's understanding deepened, they began to push the boundaries of what they could accomplish. They adapted the Aurelia's engines to use the same principles that powered the Kalfar's weapon. The ship's systems pulsed with newfound energy, and the crew felt a surge of triumph. They had taken the Kalfar's weapon, a force of unimaginable power, and turned it into an asset. It was humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt to the most extreme circumstances. The Kalfar, watching from their dark vessel, were stunned. They had underestimated the human spirit. Where other races might have been paralyzed by fear, humanity had turned that fear into fuel for innovation. It was something the Kalfar had never seen before. For the first time in their long existence, they felt a flicker of doubt. Could they truly predict a species like this? Could they control them? And then, the Kalfar realized something even more unsettling. Humanity wasn't just surviving their tests. They were evolving faster than anyone could have anticipated. And in a universe that had known only control and calm, that was a dangerous thing. The Kalfar had no choice but to escalate their tactics. They couldn't afford to let this volatile species thrive. The universe had to remain theirs. And so they prepared to unleash a new wave of chaos, one that would test humanity in ways they hadn't imagined. Word of humanity's unexpected victory over the Kalfar spread quickly across the galaxy. The once silent, unchallenged civilizations of the galaxy began to stir, uneasy whispers filling the void between the stars. The Kalfar, revered as the supreme intellect of the cosmos, had failed to tame the humans, something that had never happened before. Now, other species, some of them older and more powerful than the Kalfar, began to question the status quo. The balance of the universe was being threatened by a species that had only just begun to reveal its potential. The Federation of Calm, a coalition of the galaxy's oldest and most advanced races, convened in secret. For millennia, they had maintained peace through quiet control, ensuring the galaxy was kept in a state of ordered progression. They had witnessed countless species rise and fall, each predictable in their trajectory. But humans, they were unpredictable, a force they could not contain. The Federation could no longer ignore the potential danger posed by this young species that had managed to defy the Kalfar and emerge unscathed. Among the Federation's ranks were races like the Elkrin, ancient beings of pure energy, and the Centauri, a race of cybernetic entities whose minds were vast networks of interconnected data. Together, they represented the pinnacle of galactic control, a collective mind that had worked tirelessly for centuries to keep the universe stable. But humanity's relentless spirit, their ability to thrive amidst chaos, threatened everything they had worked for. It wasn't just fear of rebellion that concerned them. It was the sheer unpredictability of human emotion. If humanity could unleash such raw, uncontrollable power without fully understanding it, what might they do when they became a true galactic force? "We cannot let them spread," said Velthor, the Elkrin leader, his form flickering with streams of energy. "If humanity is left unchecked, they will become a wildfire, a force that cannot be reasoned with or contained. We must act before it is too late." A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber. "We will launch a preemptive strike," said Xantor, a Centauri counselor, his synthetic voice cold. "A containment measure before they gain any more ground." The plan was simple: neutralize Earth, and by extension, humanity's potential for chaos. A massive fleet would be dispatched, carrying an array of weapons designed to subdue the human spirit itself, depriving them of the emotions that fueled their strength. The Federation had prepared for a long time, confident in their control over the galaxy. They believed this was the only way to ensure peace. But even as they made their plans, they couldn't shake the unsettling feeling that humanity was something different, something they might not be able to control. Back on Earth, humanity had no idea the storm that was about to descend upon them. The human leaders, unaware of the looming invasion, were focused on strengthening their position in the galaxy, building alliances with other species, and expanding their exploration efforts. But soon, the galaxy's most powerful forces would descend upon them, and humanity's greatest test was just beginning. The Kalfar had made a mistake in underestimating the humans, but now, it seemed, the rest of the universe was about to make the same error. The first signs of the Federation's preparations were subtle. Human sensors, designed to detect anomalies, began picking up strange disturbances on the edges of their solar system. Unusual gravitational shifts, uncharted vessels moving at unprecedented speeds. It was only when the Aurelia received an encrypted message from an unknown source that the crew realized something was terribly wrong. Captain Alina Richter stood on the bridge, her face drawn tight with concern as the message came through. It was brief, a warning from an ally who had once been part of the Federation of Calm. The message was clear. The Federation is mobilizing. They intend to neutralize Earth. You have only days to prepare. The implications were staggering. The Federation, a coalition of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, had never before shown open hostility. This was not just a diplomatic issue. It was a declaration of war. Alina immediately ordered the fleet to be assembled. Earth's defenses, though formidable, were not prepared for an invasion of this scale. But the Federation's forces weren't just coming with fleets. They were bringing an arsenal of weapons designed to disrupt humanity at its core. The Federation's primary weapon wasn't just technological. They had created a device capable of suppressing emotions, the very foundation of humanity's strength. It was called the Nullifier, a colossal machine capable of sending out waves that would dampen the emotional energy in a person's mind. It was their way of dealing with humanity's unpredictability. Without their emotions, the humans would be like any other species, predictable, easy to control. The first wave of Federation ships arrived just days later. Massive dreadnoughts, sleek and implacable, emerged from the darkness of space, their weapons primed. They began bombarding Earth's orbit with waves of energy, destabilizing the atmosphere and launching a full-scale offensive. Across the planet, humanity's defenses were thrown into chaos. Military forces scrambled to organize, but nothing could prepare them for the overwhelming assault. But the Federation hadn't counted on one thing: humanity's capacity for unity in the face of danger. As the skies darkened with the approach of the Federation's fleet, something began to stir in the hearts of every person on Earth. The fear that the Federation hoped to suppress only fueled a deeper resolve. The people of Earth didn't cower. They rallied. The first counterattack came from an unexpected source: civilian resistance groups. People from all walks of life, engineers, doctors, and everyday citizens, took to the streets, using whatever weapons and technology they could find. A planetary-scale resistance was born in an instant. Governments, initially overwhelmed, found their people rising in ways that no military strategist could have predicted. Captain Richter, now leading Earth's unified forces, didn't hesitate. She gave the order for Earth's final defense, the launch of a secret weapon humanity had developed in anticipation of such an event. The Aurelia, now upgraded and ready for battle, would serve as the spearhead in humanity's fight for survival. As the Federation's fleet advanced, humanity struck back with everything they had. In the chaos of battle, it became clear the Federation had underestimated them. Humans weren't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for something far greater. And in doing so, they were unleashing an unimaginable force that even the Federation hadn't prepared for. The clash between humanity and the Federation was nothing short of cataclysmic. The skies above Earth were a battleground as Federation ships descended upon the planet, unleashing their fury. Massive energy pulses blasted across the surface, sending shockwaves through cities and structures, turning once thriving metropolises into ruins. But despite the overwhelming power of the Federation's weaponry, the resistance mounted by the people of Earth was relentless. Captain Elena Richter stood at the helm of the Aurelia, watching as the Federation fleet loomed closer. Her heart raced, not from fear, but from determination. Her ship, once a symbol of exploration, had become a symbol of defiance. With every passing moment, humanity's resolve grew stronger. In the face of annihilation, they fought not just for survival, but for their right to exist in a universe that had long since believed them to be insignificant. On the ground, the resistance forces were coordinating strikes with precision. The Nullifier, a machine designed to suppress emotions and render humanity docile, had already begun its activation over major cities. Its waves of energy spread outward, attempting to break the human spirit, to mute the unrelenting drive that powered their will to fight. But something unexpected happened. The Nullify had underestimated the very thing it was designed to suppress: human ingenuity. It could dampen emotions, but it couldn't erase them entirely. And even when people felt their hearts heavy with despair, they pushed forward. They resisted. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology or their military might. It was in their unyielding will. The Federation had thought that by suppressing humanity's emotions, they could break them. What they hadn't accounted for was that the more they tried to control the humans, the more they amplified their desire for freedom. The more they tried to stifle humanity's rage, the more it turned into an unstoppable force. The Aurelia, powered by this raw energy, cut through the Federation's forces like a blade through the dark. Captain Richter was no longer simply commanding a ship. She was leading the charge in a war that would determine the future of the galaxy. As the Aurelia engaged in combat with Federation warships, Richter's mind raced through every possible strategy. This wasn't just about beating the Federation. This was about making the statement: humanity would no longer bow to anyone, let alone those who sought to erase their very essence. But even as Earth's defenses held strong, the Federation still had one weapon left to play: a final devastating assault that could crush humanity's spirit once and for all. A fleet of massive ships, each carrying a core nullifier powerful enough to render an entire planet's population emotionless, was on its way. Time was running out. The fight for Earth's survival had reached a boiling point. The Federation had underestimated humanity once again, and now they were about to learn just how dangerous that mistake was. But in order for humanity to win, they would need to do the unthinkable. turn the tide of battle against the Federation, and show the galaxy that the universe had truly underestimated the power of the human spirit. The Federation's final fleet, an armada of monstrous ships brimming with power, was descending toward Earth. Each ship carried a nullifier device so advanced, so destructive, that it could drain every ounce of emotion from the planet's population in a single devastating pulse. The Federation believed that with this weapon, they could extinguish humanity's defiance once and for all. They thought they could erase what made humans dangerous: their unrelenting drive, their creativity, and their unpredictable courage. But they had miscalculated. Again, Captain Alina Richter stood at the helm of the Aurelia, watching as the approaching Federation fleet loomed on the horizon. A cold sense of inevitability settled over her, but beneath it burned a quiet resolve. She knew this would be the final battle. If humanity was to survive, they had to defeat the Federation not just with weapons, but with the one thing the Federation could never understand: their capacity to fight back when all seemed lost. As the Federation ships moved closer, Richter issued the order. The Aurelia, fully charged with the energy of the distorted space-time they had once struggled to control, surged forward, cutting through the enemy lines with a speed that defied belief. The nullifier pulses began to hit Earth's surface, sending out waves of energy designed to extinguish human willpower. People all over the planet began to feel its effects, their emotions flickering, their spirits weakening. But there was one thing the Federation hadn't realized. Humans weren't just reliant on raw emotion. Their survival had always depended on something deeper. In the face of absolute terror, when their minds were assaulted by despair, humans discovered something extraordinary. They didn't just fight for their own survival. They fought for each other. Families banded together, communities united in ways that transcended fear. The Federation's nullifiers tried to strip away their feelings, but humanity's instinct to protect one another proved stronger than any weapon. The more the Federation tried to suppress their emotions, the more fiercely the human spirit pushed back. The battle raged in the skies above and on the ground below. The Aurelia and other human ships maneuvered through the Federation fleet with deadly precision, taking out ships one by one. The nullifier's waves were growing weaker with each strike, as the very people they were designed to subdue fought harder than ever. Even as the Federation brought their most devastating weapons to bear, humans displayed an ingenuity and resourcefulness that the galaxy had never seen before. But the tide of battle truly began to turn when Captain Richter realized what had to be done. She made a split-second decision. The Aurelia would target the Federation's central nullifier array, the core weapon that powered their armada. To do so, they would need to fly directly into the heart of the Federation's fleet, a nearly impossible maneuver. But Richter knew the human capacity for sacrifice would drive her crew to make that leap, and so she gave the order. With precision and defiance in her heart, the Aurelia surged into the heart of the Federation's formation, dodging fire and cutting through their defenses. In a final, glorious act of resistance, the ship's weapon systems hit the nullifier array, cracking its core and sending a ripple of disruption through the Federation's fleet. The Federation ships began to fall from the sky, their power crumbling as the nullifiers lost their grip. Humanity, against all odds, had won. As the dust settled and the Federation's forces retreated into the darkness, Captain Richter stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. The universe had learned a lesson that day. Humanity was a force like no other. No matter the odds, no matter the challenge, humans would rise again. And in that moment, the universe knew fear, not because humanity had lost their temper, but because they had proven that they could never, ever be defeated.